Hey everyone, it's Joel, and you're about to watch our 40th episode of season five, our holiday episode, and it's great. It really is. However, the first 48 minutes, someone, I don't know who, someone forgot to hit record. And someone might be me, but someone did. So the first 48 minutes, you will get the audio version of our podcast. So you'll get it, and I will put up some corresponding images to maybe add some visual interest. We'll see. We'll see what I come up with. And then at the 48-minute mark, the video will kick in, and the rest of the show will be as it always is. So again, I apologize. That's on me. And thank you for all of you who check us out here on YouTube. And I hope that you enjoy our Holiday Movie Club Christmas Nostalgia episode. And we'll be back in the new year with season 6. Thanks.
Listeners everywhere, welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan, the weekly fix for your screen addiction and a trusted source for discussion of all things film and television. Please keep in mind that for the purposes of this podcast, Joel and Ryan are not acting as journalists, but rather fellow moving picture enthusiasts. All of their opinions should be taken as such. Also, please be warned that while Joel and Ryan may seem like petulant children, they are, in fact, adults who may occasionally use adult language. While they promise to bleep out all the worst words, it's a good bet you will still understand what they were saying. And now, with no further ado, here's Joel and Ryan.
Hey! Happy holidays! Woo-hoo! Welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. I am Joel.
And I'm Ryan.
And of course,
I'm
if you're
Shauna.
watching the Shauna's here! Woo! Right? And a
Ho, ho, ho.
there we go. It is time. It is time for the Holiday Movie Club edition of the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan.
What would the holidays be without it?
Correct. It is the thing that many people wait for. Many people don't start their Christmas shopping until after the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan Movie Club Holiday Spectacular. I might be one of them.
I finished my Christmas shopping, but I don't have a lot of people to shop for. I don't have to buy anything for kids, which really speeds the process up.
I can, yes, I would think so. That's pretty much all I do now is buy for kids. All right, well, welcome to the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. So Shauna, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see you. How you been?
I've been great. Thanks, Joel. Thanks for asking me to be on again.
Woo!
And yeah, we're super happy, and we have fans of the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan will notice the festive holiday background on Shauna's video feed, which is slightly different than before. It is 100% more festive, and also 100% less dogs walking around in the background from time to time. Which I don't say that as a complaint.
No,
I loved when the dogs would come by. That was in no way is that a complaint. That was just happened to go.
Fun.
Oh, I don't think we're going to get to see the dogs this time. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's kind of jump right into talking about the holidays. What is everyone's big holiday plans for Ryan? What do you do for the holidays, or what sort of stuff gets you jazzed for the holidays?
I decorate in here, but not very much. But I just change out. Like I have these little white Christmas lights around my window year round, and I switch them to blue lights. And then,
well, there you go.
But the super nice thing about in my life, or at least my recent years, is that during the holidays, usually I have to dump a bunch of vacation time, and it's typically a great time to do it because at work I don't have to, whatever. And and of course, I watch tons of movies, I have this great lineup for movies that we get to talk about in the new year. And that's particularly useful this year because, as I say, that's always kind of been the routine, but it's really going to be great this year because of how busy we are in the early winter. It's going to be crazy, and it'll be nice to just have a bunch cashed up and that we can just whip out each week like we did last year. It's going to be really great. But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. I mean, this is one of the most exciting things. I love our podcast, starting with our little best holiday specials episode. Do you remember that one? Where we argued about the Grinch like a lot.
Right.
Because you're just not high enough on the Grinch for my tastes at all.
Yep.
Or Dr. Seuss in general, for that matter. But other than that, stinger to my heart, where it's such a warm and fond memory. And then this is our third holiday show that we got to do with Shauna, which I think is I'm always privileged and honored to have her around. You bring such a cool, different perspective to us, and I'm very grateful for that. So, and we missed you so much. So it's so awesome to see you.
Thanks
and your
so
hat
much.
is so Seussical, if I dare I say, and I love it.
If you, dear listener, if you are listening to this, hopefully you'll see it even in the tile for the YouTube link. I will make sure to somehow highlight the amazing hat Shauna is wearing. It really puts to shame any holiday. I mean, good Lord, we have Ryan with reindeer antlers on, and I believe they light up.
No, they just have little.
Oh, they're just little reflectors. Okay.
They appear that they're lit up, but they don't.
Yeah. So the light is catching them. So, but I mean, Shauna's hat really does put all of our holiday festivities to or accoutrement to shame. It's really spectacular.
I like your Christmas gangsta hat.
Yes,
that'd be good for a Christmas poker game.
It'd be good for a Christmas poker game. It fits in with a couple of the eras of the movies that we'll be talking about today.
It almost looks like a little sprig of pine.
Maybe. Oh, that would have been good.
That would be a nice touch.
Do I have one of those here? Do I have something? No, I do have my crackling. I have a wintergreen candle that crackles like a fire. I have one of those, but I don't know that the microphone would pick it up, and it would probably just sound like we have some sort of weird audio distortion, and it would drive Ryan slightly more insane.
Yeah, it's possible.
Shauna, what do you guys do for the holidays? Do you guys do a lot of traveling and stuff?
We don't. Since we got Lou, we adopted Lou, and I said the first year I want to stay home. I don't want to go anywhere, and that's kind of been our thing. I like quiet Christmas at home, just the immediate family. I've always just kind of been that way. The big hoopla kind of makes me crazy, so I try to keep it as kind of quiet and at home as we can, and then we travel afterwards.
Oh, I love that.
It's a good idea.
I mean, look, I loves me and my family. They're all fine, but that idea of just hanging out and doing nothing on that, that sounds glorious.
And we have a and the tree is lit up and the two dogs and everything. It's nice and peaceful.
Yeah. I have, since my folks are both remarried, and we have Jennifer's family, and we're all right here in the Twin Cities. Our holiday turns into, we're gotta find a time to have holiday dinner and presents and everything with my dad and stepmom. Then Christmas Eve is usually it's either my dad and stepmom or it's with my wife's family, and then Christmas Day, usually the best part of Christmas Day is Christmas morning, because usually Christmas Day we get together with my mom and stepdad, but that Christmas morning we get that whole morning just to kind of, we sit downstairs by the fireplace and with the tree and open up some presents and see what Santa brought, and that's lovely and chill and laid back, and very much looking forward to that. But yeah, so ours is a little crazier. It's a little running around. I mean, and we have to do it. Ben is the only grandchild, so he makes out like a crazy Christmas bandit every year. And yeah, so I do not expect for this year to be any different. So yeah, so that's yeah. And that's the holidays. We'll hopefully. So yeah, we've been introducing Ben now to a bunch of the classic Christmas holiday specials, and watching Santa Claus coming to town, the Rankin and Bass stuff, which is silly fun, and yeah. And then he also really likes some of the modern stuff. Apparently, this week they watched. Bennett was enthralled by the country music television Christmas special with all these country singers singing holiday songs, and that apparently was a huge hit around here. So
nice.
Yeah.
But in general, I'd say I'm not cynical about Christmas time. I really do like it. I'm kind of like Shauna. I don't like being out in too much fracas, but I do try and experience just enough of it, just a little bit of it, so I can say that I did it. And, it's with all the COVID scares of recent years and stuff, that's not totally in our history either. California is struggling with that because everybody's being social this time of year, and it's causing some issues, but it's nice to feel a little like it's like it used to be again.
Mm-hmm.
Nostalgia for Christmas is past and things like that. I mean, they're not all great, but that's a powerful sort of drug that people get super into, and that's kind of what the show is about. And I try and be level-headed about it, but I am susceptible to that. I do prefer the television commercials this time of year, It's just stuff like that where it's like, I think it's a happy time, and I don't fight against it. I let it flow.
Slight digression. I agree with you, Ryan. The holiday commercials are always great, and I do love this time of year because it's really it's the only time that like multiple fragrance manufacturers like flood the airwaves with commercials. And as we all know, fragrance commercials can be like absolutely bonkers, make no sense. All
from a marketing standpoint, it's a hard sell. You're selling the smell of something. How do you do that on the radio?
In a visual medium or an audio medium? Yeah,
it's a challenge.
And it was like, what would you do for love? And like, all these images and blah, and it was like, Love Stank by Chanel, and
they hang around through Valentine's Day too. They don't completely go away like some.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We will get some. We'll take a little bit of break during Super Bowl season, and then we get bombarded.
But I will take those over jewelry commercials any day.
That's true. I do not disagree.
Or Lexus commercials.
Yeah.
Who are these people giving each other free Lexuses for Christmas and like matching?
Yeah, and if I was giving them, and if I was giving somebody a Lexus, I'd be like, just the car is enough. I'm not gonna slap a bow on it because I'm not gonna risk scratching the paint or anything. I don't want anything touching this thing if I'm giving you a Lexus for the holidays.
And I would be, here's your Lexus. I'm going to drive off in my Jetta.
Yep.
Here's a Lexus. I'm just going to take my medium price sedan on down the road.
Mm-hmm. Also, Alexa, like if it's not Christmas though, like what if it's Hanukkah? You can't give a Lexus on like day 3 of Hanukkah.
No, you need,
because then what are you going to do for the rest of the days? That's gotta be a last day of Hanukkah thing. Because after that, then it was like I gave you the Lexus on day 3, and 4 you're gonna get chocolate gold coins. Little basket. So it's a pretty steep drop off.
And don't forget to work some dreidels in there as well.
Yeah, some dreidels, and then on day 8, it's all about the latkes. We're just gonna eat latkes and sour cream until we can't fit into our Lexus anymore. So yeah, and then I mean, I was going to mention, I was mentioning how my son is big into the country music television holiday spectacular. They were singing all sorts of all the holiday songs of this, just all of the holiday classics. And Ryan sent me this awesome visual of like all the greatest holiday songs and when they were composed.
It's the 30 most played holiday songs.
Oh, I guess sure.
I don't want to make any value judgments, and I believe they're all secular songs. So it's the 30 most played secular holiday songs.
Sure.
Because there's some religious ones that are played just
right.
As much.
Yeah,
they're not on the list.
Yeah,
and they tend to be much older.
Right.
But what this graphic showed, and if you're watching the video, we'll throw it up for you. And when I first saw it, because there's a lot of little graphics to choose from, we chose a very cool one that the Washington Post did to share with you guys. But to give them the credit, but when the study first came out, it was a couple of years ago. Somebody kind of made a meme of it, and they said, at the bottom of it, they said, helping baby boomers relive their childhood since 1950 is what they said. And it's an interesting graphic in that sense, in that all of those songs really are from that exact same era. They're all from the eras we're talking about, the 40s and 50s. And... Yeah. And
10 of the most played secular Christmas songs come from the 1940s, and 9 of them are from the 50s. Then it's a pretty big drop off to any other decade.
Yeah, and we've talked about this on the show before. 1945 to 1966 is the 50s. It really is the whole entire 8-year Eisenhower administration, and really until, I don't know where we want to cut it off, but probably the Kennedy-Nixon debate. We'll say that's where the 60s started. But that was well into the 60s is my point. So we'll talk a little bit more about the 50s when we get to my movie, the third movie. But I was stunned. I guess you have a theme to play before we get into movies, but it shows you that nostalgia is a big deal. Baby boomer generation was a big generation. These songs, like, the 70s weren't a particularly good time for jazz standard vocal tunes. I mean, so there's that aspect of it too. That is what we think of as Christmas, but it's a fairly recent development that the sounds of the holidays are all just super concentrated in that one era, and it really is because year after year after year, the most populated generation in America wanted to hear all the songs from when they were kids again and again and again. I think that's only natural, but there's all these decades later, it's still with us. There's only one from the 80s and only one from the 90s. You can guess what those are.
Yeah. I mean, also, like every artist of the 70s and 80s recognized that they could make a lot of money real fast by doing an album of the songs written in the 40s and 50s.
You bet.
Which is why I saw, just because my son's a big Neil Diamond fan, Neil Diamond has five holiday albums, and yeah, not bad for a young Jewish boy from Brooklyn. It's
been 5 decades of Neil Diamond music, so it makes sense. Once a decade, that doesn't seem too extreme.
Doesn't it doesn't say, but it does. It is a little bit like five holiday. Now, to be fair, some of them are, he's rehashing some of the same stuff that he's recorded earlier, just in a nicer studio and stuff. But that is a digression. Let's. What do you say we transition this guy right into our discussion of our holiday and get into the holiday movie club proper? What you all say? Should we do it? All right. Here we go, kids.
The first rule of movie club is you talk about movie club. The second rule of movie club is you talk about movie club.
There it is. My jingle bells did not quite go on long enough, and then they went on too long. I think there's a metaphor there for my holiday season.
Got to roll with the punches, though. Okay.
Got to roll with the punches. All right. Our first up is an absolute classic, stone cold classic of Christmas movies. Such a stone cold classic. It is played on a 24-hour loop come holiday time. And that is, of course, 1983's A Christmas Story. Shauna?
Thank you. Yes, A Christmas Story. Well, first of all, I'd like to say in 2012, it was added to the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress because it was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
It is. I think that's right. That's a good call by the registry.
Yes, I agree. Very much so. And I think part of it is it shows such a part of America back in the 1940s. So it was shot in Cleveland, where I currently live. And so it's really fun for me to see. I've been to the house. It's a museum now. The house is a museum. There's another building that's a museum, and then there's a museum shop. So it's fun to it's in an area called Tremont, and it overlooks the where the steel yards were. But so it's interesting for me because I can actually see it as a part of America as it is still now. And it was based on a story by Gene Shepherd, a book that he wrote, In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash.
And they're basically a bunch of anecdotes and monologues some of which are holiday related, that they based the movie around, and then they took all his other best growing up, sort of coming of age things they could fit in there, and just jammed them all in there. And right. Gene, if you've never read him, or even better, heard him speak on the radio, and you don't have to because he's the guy who does the voiceover in the movie, but he has this unique, like up here in Minnesota, we have Garrison Keillor, I guess, but there's a lot of these guys regionally that represent something about Americana, and he's as good as any of them. So
right, he's like Garrison Keillor with swear words.
Right, that's right. That's good, well said.
Which I would say is pretty much it says it all about the difference between Minnesota and Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio is about as raw as you get. People they don't mince their words, and they sprinkle the swear words in there pretty liberally. So it's fun to see the difference also in that aspect, since I grew up in Minnesota. But I'll come back to that. So this story is about Ralphie Parker and his family at Christmas time in the 1940s. And it's just set as the lead up to Christmas. And what it's really about is what Ralphie wants for Christmas. And he wants this, is it a BB gun?
Red Ryder BB gun.
The Red Ryder BB gun. So
designed by the Daisy Company. That was a real thing.
It was a real thing?
Yep.
Yeah,
some of the stuff in it is made up, but that was very much a real thing. So it is based on Gene's real desire to get this this present, which of course the advertising made it seem like you're just not a kid worth being around if you didn't have this gun. And what kid, didn't want a BB gun when they were a kid? Joel, you might be one who actually didn't, but I bet you did.
Have a BB gun?
Yeah.
I did not. I did not. The BB guns were left to my brother, and I just really had no interest in a BB gun. So
I had two brothers, and we had to share ours like everything else. But other than that, there is a, you get a little pocket knife, you step up to a BB gun. There's a weird masculine rite of passage that happens there, and
the fun thing is that this
kid gets obsessed with getting one.
For this BB gun is the underlying story of this movie. And it's fun because there are fantasy scenes where he's protecting the whole house against robbers, and he's the one with the BB gun, and the rest of the family, including his father, are all like, what are we going to do? And he's out in the backyard shooting robbers with his BB gun. So this is kind of this underlying story is this quest for this Christmas gift, and how is he going to get this? And every time he tells somebody, he wrote this paper that he thought, the school paper that he thought was like the best thing that's ever been written, and to his teacher, and it's about wanting this BB gun, and he then another time, he goes to Higby's Mall, which is where the Christmas scene was staged, and asks Santa for this BB gun. And at one point, I think did he ask his mom for it?
It starts kind of with him telling his mom that's what he wants for Christmas. Mm-hmm.
And every answer,
she shuts it down right away, basically.
What is it? You're going to shoot your eye out?
You'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out. So this is every answer that he gets along the way. But it's fun because almost every scene is about him trying to get this gun and trying to figure out who he can tell that he wants this gun and how can he get it. And it's a really fun, cute story from this kid's perspective. And it shows him going to school and his buddies at school, and then also the bullies at school, and his home life. And it's just a picture of Cleveland in America in 1940. And the family is really funny. The dad is this grumpy, kind of manly dad guy that is always trying to fix the furnace, and he's trying to, put the spare tire on the car when it blows and all this, and he's kind of not very.
He hates the neighbors' dogs.
Oh, the Bumpuses dogs.
The Bumpuses.
There were a lot of people up for that role, and Bob Clark, who adapted and directed the movie. We talked about him before on the show a handful of times, more times than I would have thought we would have. But yeah, he's a pretty talented guy, and I think this is his best movie maybe not by far, because he's got some really neat gems, but he said he was really, really lucky that this list of people, I can't remember, Jack Nicholson was on it. It's people that was like, you could see how they'd be good because they were good actors, but who he ended up with was Darren McGavin. And the parents, Darren McGavin and Melinda Dillon, they're not super age appropriate for each other. I don't know when they would have actually gotten married, but that's not so important in the movie. What they are these great archetypes of parents that we've known, that we've either had some version of this in our lives or our friends have or whatever. They really are a neighborhood family that you can instantly relate to, even as a 11-year-old in 1983 when I saw this in the theater. You just totally know them. And I love Melinda on screen. Every time we talk about her, I say how much I love her, because it's hard to explain. She's goofy. She's different. There's something about her that's not just what you expect every time. You get this weird, unexpected little things from her. And McGavin's awesome because even though he's a character actor, and maybe because he's one, he just, every time he does something, he just absolutely takes stage. There's entire sequences where, because it is from Ralphie's point of view, who's played by Peter Billingsley, who people don't remember was a minor celebrity already before he got cast in this movie. He was a co-host of That's Incredible, and he was on tons of TV commercials and was a ringer, sort of guest star on different sitcoms and stuff at the time. Mm-hmm. Because he was a super cute kid. And they didn't even want to cast him in the movie. He was the first person that was thought of for it. And then they were like, no, they eliminated that. And then they auditioned everybody else, and they came all the way back to them finally. And it's hard. Again, he's a good actor, and it's hard to imagine the movie without him. But I wanted to get those names in there and just say how much I love that family, because it is, from a design standpoint and from the like a pre-World War II innocence of America is captured brilliantly in it. It really is. They wanted to not say what year it is, but it's clearly Christmas of 1940. You could figure it out by the magazine covers and stuff, they're this universal family unit that I love. And he has a little brother too, of course, which you gotta have.
Randy.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, first back to the dogs. So in the movie, Ralphie is talking about these dogs because he said, these dogs don't listen to anybody but my dad. And that kind of, that's him, the dad, the alpha figure. And Ralphie's talking about their bumpus, their neighbors, the bumpuses, their hillbilly neighbors have 785 smelly hounds. And it's just hysterical to me. Again, growing up in Minnesota, there aren't hillbillies in Minnesota. In Cleveland, there are hillbillies in Cleveland because Kentucky borders us from the south, and Pennsylvania. And so in Cleveland, this is an actual thing. People here constantly call people hillbillies, and the bloodhounds. If you're not from here, you don't understand this regional kind of reference. And and I never appreciated it ever until I watched it this time. And I was like, oh, this is so the reality still today. This house still overlooks the steel yards. There are still hillbillies here that have bloodhounds. These references are remarkable to me now, even knowing how much they really apply. I mean, this was Cleveland area.
I love you talking about him being the alpha even of the dogs, the dad, because one of my favorite parts is when he comes home and he's so excited that he's won the major award, and he's like I won. He's so excited and he's so happy. He even goes to the door and sticks his leg through the door. And he's like, go at it, come on, you dumb dogs, and he lets himself be. I'm assuming humped or something by those hounds, and he's like, yeah, go ahead. And he's like, because nothing is gonna ruin his day, and I love that little part where he just goes over and he's like, yeah, that's right, dogs. You go ahead, and that makes me laugh. And then of course one of the dogs get their ears shut in the door. That's a nice little button to that. I mean it. One of the other things I love about Christmas Story is how the movie captures, and I think better maybe than any other film, is the multiple tactics a kid takes when trying to get that one gift that is more important than any other gift. Even at the very beginning when he was, he just blurts it out, I want the official Red Ryder carbine action 200 shot range model air rifle. And the mom's like, well, you shoot your eye out. And then he was like, that little moment where he's like, why did I got I mean, I'm just kidding. I mean, even though Schwartz is getting one,
Got to be more
and then what
subtle
is
about it. He starts leaving the advertisements around. And
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
leaving like perfectly positioning her magazine with with the insert in there. Oh God, I love that because I mean, even as a kid in the late '70s, early '80s, I remember doing stuff like that, and oh man,
And the fun thing too is that it's a coming of age movie, very much so, because his father is really kind of the loud, gruff disciplinarian, and his mom is the sweeter. She still is a disciplinarian, but not to the extent that the father is. And it's a coming of age story because it's when he realizes that his mom is a little bit on his side too. So when he gets into the big fight with the bully and beats up the bully, his mom.
What's the bully's name, Joel? We should get that on the record.
Flick.
Flick
is the friend. Schwartz. No, Schwartz is Farkas. Scott Farkas.
He's got
Scott Farkas and his little toady.
Hat.
And his little toady, I think, is Grover. Is that right? Now, hold on a second. Yeah, Scott. Well, this actually says Scut Farkas. I always thought it was Scott.
Me too, but it's
Scut Farkas and Grover Dill.
Scott Farkas was voted, I think, third ever best Christmas Story villain. He beat the Grinch.
Let's give it up.
He beat the Grinch.
Yeah, maybe that makes sense.
I don't think the Grinch was like
the Grinch isn't a villain.
He goes, I kind of can't imagine that. But.
Yeah, Zach Ward. Let's give it up for Zach Ward for being Scut.
It's a fun performance. He's a scary, although a bit cartoonish. He's a scary villain, and that fighting back against the bully scene is super effective. And all the little games they play on each other. When I was a kid, the most memorable scene in the whole movie, there's several, but was when they goad their friend into sticking his tongue onto the lamppost outside when it's really, really cold, which is something you should really never do. That is not a urban legend or a myth of any kind. What happens in the movie is basically what happens to you.
Yep.
And I don't know why we thought, I guess because we're just idiot children at the time, but I just thought, oh my God, that's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's so mean.
Yeah.
And I love it, but I do love when all of that stuff is happening and they go back in.
That lead to it is quite brilliant. Yeah.
And then once it happens and they see poor Flick out there waving his arms, and all of the kids run to when the teacher leaves the room, all of the kids run to the window except for Flick. No, Schwartz is out there waving it. Who's there waving his arm? Flick is waving his arm. So then it's Schwartz and Ralphie, and they're the only ones, and they're just sitting at their desks going,
trying to stay out of trouble.
Yeah, trying to stay out of trouble.
Well, because I don't think that's what's neat about it. That's what makes it just not a mean trick. I don't think they knew what was going to happen either, and
nobody knew what was.
Yeah, and their reaction to it is one of pure guilt and kind of awfulness, which is great.
Yeah, your tongue will stick to it. Your tongue will stick to it, and then you'll just be able to pop it off, and nothing bad's going to happen. Certainly not going to call the fire department.
One of the kids' fathers told the kid, "Your tongue will stick to it," and they were saying it, and it was "I dare you to put your tongue on that. I double dare you. Mm-hmm. I double dog dare you. I triple dog dare you." And it
went right from the double dog, skipping the triple dare to the triple dog dare.
The breach of etiquette, but the effective breach of etiquette.
None of them knew if it was true or not. So it was truly a dare, and it was one of his friends.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is with the bully fight, is that his mom then protected.
Yeah.
Ralphie against his dad's wrath from this. I mean, everybody was scared. Even the little brother was hiding underneath the cupboard because he
What's
thought
going
for
to
sure
happen?
that his dad was going to
kill Ralphie.
And so then his mom really diffused the situation, and Ralphie figured out, oh, wait a minute, I have, somebody on my side. And that realization is a real coming of age, understanding your parents moment.
Yeah.
And then, but then furthermore, when everybody thought the dad was, such a disciplinarian and he wouldn't do anything, kind of fun for kids or anything, Ralphie on Christmas morning opens up all his gifts and he gets all these ridiculous gifts. His little brother is like, I got a fire truck. I got a truck. I got
a Zeppelin.
I got all these awesome things. And Ralphie opens up this bunny outfit. Awful, like some gloves, just nothing good at all. And then his dad is like, Ralphie, what's that over there in the corner? And Ralphie goes over and he opens it up and it's this gun, the BB gun that he's wanted. The mom didn't even know that the dad got it.
Right.
So, it kind of pulls out the super kind, sweet thing of a father kind of in the end, too. It's such a...
And she looks at him like, what are you doing? And he's like, I had one when I was a kid. He even though he's not been sharing it with any of us, including Ralphie, he does get it. He gets it. It's a neat moment of connection between all of them, actually.
And I don't believe we ever hear Dad say, you'll shoot your eye out. The dad never shoots down the idea. No. It's everybody else. But of course, Ralphie, it never occurs to Ralphie to go to his dad, because that's not what you do, or go to his dad to ask for this for Christmas, because that's not what you do. In the 40s, in the 40s, you ask mom, everything filters through mom for that.
It's mom. It's definitely mom that washes Ralphie's mouth out with soap when he drops the F-bomb.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very mom and not a dad type of punishment.
Yep.
Right.
If memory serves.
This movie is just fun because it's such a nostalgic trip down memory lane. The mom says, I'll give you something to cry about. My mom used to say that to me. And this movie is just all around an American trip down Christmas memory lane.
That shot you just said, it totally made me think of another moment, Melinda Dillon moment, which is awesome, where she's like kind of yelling at the kids and blah blah blah, and they all go down the hallway, and all you see is Melinda Dillon in profile, going, "What? I'll give you something. Don't you look at me like that." Yeah. We don't need to see the look, because every kid has had their mother say that to them.
Yeah.
It's so good. I mean, it is iconic moment after iconic moment. Every single, we didn't even talk about Fragile. We didn't even talk about Electric Sex in the Window.
Which is a cottage industry now. Those lamps, they manufacture them and send them all over the world, and people buy them and put them up as Christmas decorations.
I have to tell you guys, those lamps, you see them all over Cleveland.
Sure.
Oh, I would think, yeah.
Even there's this area, there's a city called Shaker Heights that has these big old mansions, from Rockefeller area and Carnegie and all that.
Yep.
Because that's where they were from. They did business here.
Yep.
And drive down the road, these gigantic, beautiful, block-long old mansions, and there'll be an electric sex lamp in the window. It is just, it's funny.
That is, I don't know where that comes from. That must be from Gene as well, but that lamp is such a weird, it's such a bravely absurd episode in this. It's not like the movie's tame. It's got all kinds of surprises and unexpected goofiness in it, but that lamp raises it to a level of absolute brilliance, because none of it makes any sense. He didn't seem to order it. He didn't seem to even enter a contest that he won. The whole thing seems like some weird plot to drive mom crazy that like you got the crazy thing that you didn't even ask for. And of course, that's why he loves it so much. Not because of the thing itself, but just because I won in this life of working class hardship. I won something.
He could have won a bowling alley.
Right.
Yeah. Well, how are they going to deliver a bowling alley? They could deliver the deed.
It's worth mentioning that lamp because it really does. It really is something else.
It's iconic. It matches the rabbit suit in this.
I'll try to tell the story quick. Years ago, the Ordway Center, big theater here in the Twin Cities, was doing a production of A Christmas Story, the musical. And at the time, I was helping out at the Ordway, and I was helping out with the ad campaign and casting some stuff and everything. And I was on set for the day they were shooting the commercial. And the moment the props department for this commercial brought out the lamp, you would have thought it was the Grail or it was the Ark of the Covenant or something. I mean, all of us who were that age were just like, "Oh my God, it's the lamp! It is," and we're just like, it was this weird moment on set of all of us. Like instantly, we were all kids again watching that movie for the first time, just at the sight of this lamp. And it was great.
To explain it for people that might not have seen the movie yet, it is a woman's leg, a very shapely woman's leg in a black stiletto with black fishnet stockings, and I would say, as it goes up the thigh, it even shows like up to the butt.
Right, just disappearing underneath the lampshade up at the top,
and
basically.
That's the thing. So you see this, and before they put the lampshade on, you're like, wow, whoa. And then they put the lampshade on, and it covers.
Because they don't even know what it is until they put the lampshade on, and then they figure it out. Yeah,
it's a lamp.
But you get this this second shot of almost like soft pornographic lamp before they put the shade on it. You know what I mean? It is like a second of wow.
And it's the tackiest thing ever, and you understand why Dad loves it, and you understand why Mom hates it all at the same time. And the battle, the little subplot of the Battle of the Lamp is fantastic. Oh, it's so amazing for as modest a budgeted film as it is, how much period detail and how much they get out of that. The journey to the mall to visit Santa is really wonderfully realized, and when the car breaks down, are they out getting their Christmas tree or something? I can't remember. Like just all of that from 1940 is so cool, and it's. I also think the other thing I don't want to let Christmas Story pass by without mentioning is that Christmas Story didn't bomb at the box office or anything. It was a modest hit. It cost $11 million, and I think it made 23. But it opened right before Thanksgiving, and by Christmas time rolled around, it was pretty much out of theaters. It played on HBO, though. Joel and I do a series of shows about we saw it on HBO for the first time. I think largely home video and HBO was how this film's legend grew. It wasn't so much. I think people who saw it in the theater really loved it. I did, and it wasn't even my kind of movie as a kid, but I thought it was hilarious. I was giggling through the whole thing. Even when I didn't know what I was giggling at, it has that sort of awesome comedic and truthful energy to it.
It's for every age.
Its legend has grown every year since, to the point that, as Joel said, Turner Network made this holiday tradition where they air it 24 hours of A Christmas Story. And it really is. Everyone has their own, but it really is many, many people's. They will not let the holiday season pass by without streaming this or getting it in or giving it a play. And it's no small thing to make something, to create something that ends up being worthy of that. Because I don't think they had any idea that that's what they were creating at the time. They couldn't have known, They knew the universal appeal because they're not dummies, but that it would just all these years later that it would just be considered an absolute classic.
It's a cult classic. I mean, it really is.
And it's worthy of that. It's a really, really great movie in that way.
Hey, gang. Um, this is a little. This is embarrassing. The audio version of this is going to be fantastic, but I forgot
Recording in progress.
to
Oh
record.
no.
So we have missed the video version. Hi, everybody.
Oh my
Hi.
goodness.
Yeah. We'll still be able to put the intro on this if you were watching the video feed. Hi, welcome to the show, Joel and Ryan.
You'll have to,
I'm Joel.
Joel,
That's
you're
Ryan.
gonna have to create some
Yep.
technical difficulty, like holiday related graphic for the beginning of that show.
Yeah, I will. Well, so the video version will have the audio of everything that we just just recorded, and it'll be a still.
And I have to say, the audio is all you guys out there in podcast land. That's where we make our money on your commutes and on your lunch breaks.
Yes.
Anyway, it's
Yes.
not really with the video version.
It's not that.
But
So
let's take a pause here because we're doing pretty good for time. Let's check everybody's thing. Let's look at Shauna's little setup that she's got, and definitely take in the hat.
Now
So
you
you're
can
seeing
see
it for the first time.
There's a wire in it, so it can be
Contorted in any way that you want.
Yep. So the twist. Oh. So, and of course, Ryan Rocket having his yearly reindeer antlers. They're not antlers like a reindeer. They are antlers of reindeers.
Yeah, I told that story a couple years ago when these showed up. I was like, hey, Mom, when you're out at the dollar store or whatever, pick me up some antlers, is what I said. And what she found was antlers that aren't actually antlers, but that are actually reindeer heads at the top of these little things. And I almost love them more because of that. So
I agree.
And I have my my holiday fedora to celebrate the movies of the 1940 that were.
But otherwise,
well, I mean, it's not a movie of the 1940.
Everybody watching the video, we had
you
one
did miss us.
infographic that we threw up.
Yep, you have and I will throw that up when we talk about it on the audio.
You'll have to throw all kinds of things up to keep the visual interest
yes,
going.
I will. I will. This is my afternoon is done. I know what I will be doing. Atoning for my error. So video people who you're few, but we do thank you for checking out the video. But I apologize for this error, and for people listening to the audio, well, I hope you're laughing at Joel for his incompetence and for getting to hit the record
we live in
button.
a Zoom meeting world,
Indeed, we do.
And everybody's done it. Forget to hit that record thing, and
is what I say to that. But
no,
here,
that's
okay,
funny.
so
that'll make this that's a special holiday memory. Always.
So just because even though we've already talked about A Christmas Story and we'll do it again, just for the video feed. So well, no, I can still throw that up. So we'll just let's move on. Let's talk about our next movie. Any last thoughts on? I'm sorry, I was so.
Nope.
Any last thoughts on? Yeah, I did too, Shauna. This was I love that we were able to that you were able to share this being a resident of Cleveland, and also the house and museum that is attached to it currently for sale.
Yes, and I would also say I think I have some pictures when we went to go see the house and museum, and I can forward them to you. Maybe if you put those up, I don't know.
Sprinkle those in, yeah.
Oh, that would be
He'll take any visual aids he can get. He's got to fill up about 40 minutes of show.
I do indeed. But if you're thinking, oh, I'll just go buy the house, you should know that apparently the current owner of the house and museum has a very stringent screening process and expects the home to go for 8 digits.
Ho, ho, ho.
Yep. Yeah. So he is looking to, he spent about, I believe he's put in about $500,000 in it, and he's that's going to be quite a little profit to make.
Well,
but you get
he expects it to be continued to be run as a museum. So if you want to buy it, just
to be preserved,
it is a business investment, not just a home. Anywho, okay, so our next movie, we are going to travel forward in time to 1995. To me, this is another movie about family at Christmas, and that is Ho, Ho, Ho! While You Were Sleeping, the movie that really gave us Sandra Bullock and made her one of, maybe at the time, America's most sweetheart. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, in sticking up for Sandra, it's hard to imagine many other of the stars of the time doing this role, because it's the same as with Darren McGavin in A Christmas Story. They really tried everybody else before they went to her. She'd had some successes. She'd been in some things and been very memorable in them, but she wasn't expected to be able to carry a movie like this the way this particular character has to really do that. And it's an actorly role. She's not exactly, her kind of quirky funness is in the part, but it's just it's this person's not like her, and that's fun. You really do get to see the creation of somebody from scratch that you really learn to care about. So sorry I cut you off there, but
no, absolutely. This so this is the story of a young woman who doesn't have a family at Christmas. I mean, the plot, if you haven't seen it, is Sandra Bullock plays a Chicago Transit Authority, not non-member of the band, but an actual Chicago Transit Authority worker. And because she has no family, she's always working the holidays because she doesn't have, her mom passed when she was a baby, and her dad has recently passed, so she is, by all accounts, alone on the holidays. And she has a crush on this guy that always comes through her station. And she harbors dreams of somehow from behind the glass in her transit authority jacket, wooing him. And she and what happens is, on Christmas, she's working, and he comes, played by Peter Gallagher, the handsome stranger played by Peter Gallagher, comes on, and in a
Peter Gallagher, totally cast a type.
Yeah. And he comes, and he's getting out, he's going to catch the train, and he's in a mugging gone wrong. He accidentally falls onto the tracks, and Sandra Bullock's character Lucy, she runs and jumps down onto the tracks and is trying to wake him up and pull him, and ends up saving him from getting hit by the L train. And then
but he falls into a coma.
He falls into a coma. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then she's with him at the hospital, and due to it's really well written, because this is where the whole crux of the thing lies, is in this scene. An inability to say things, and one little wrong sort of misspoken thing, none of it nefarious, none of it intentionally fraudulent. His family comes to believe that she is his fiance, and they instantly adopt her.
Yeah, this family is that classic, absolutely everyone is slightly insane, everyone is loud, everyone is just, it's Peter Boyle, it's Glynis Johns, and Nicole Mercurio.
They're performers. Yep.
Yeah, everyone is big. Everyone is big. And then they have the Godfather.
But the film really sells the
Gordon.
magic of a lonely person suddenly adopted into a family, and how that leads to all the farce that comes later, because she doesn't want to be parted with that. Deep down, this is what she's always wanted.
Yeah.
But of course, unless Peter never wakes up, which it's not that kind of movie, and you know that from the beginning, this charade can't last. It's going to go bad.
Right.
Remember back in a movie club when we talked about Working Girl, or dare I say, and I better not say it, but Secret of My Success, where Secret of My Success is truly somebody pulling off a fraud, but Working Girl has that feel to it, like it's almost accidental what happens. It's never supposed to go this far, and this movie has that kind of energy to it. That is that I really liked at the time. We'll talk more about the plot and what happens, and especially Bill Pullman, who we haven't even mentioned.
Yeah,
Bill Pullman, who of his era was the classic other guy, usually the guy getting left behind in these sorts of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie has a nice reversal where the mousy, less hot, less personality dude the girl actually falls in love with him in a reasonably natural way for a 90s romantic comedy that you believe. But no buts about it. It's just kind of awesome.
Yeah, so the story already has the ticking clock, the ticking time bomb of at some point Peter will wake up. Peter Gallagher's character, whose name is also Peter. Peter will wake up, and this whole ruse will be will be discovered. And then the added complication is the brother, Peter's brother, Jack, played by Bill Pullman, who wasn't at the hospital, who wasn't there to hear all of this. And who also seems to have a slightly better beat on what is actually going on in his brother's life, is suddenly like, Lucy, that's not fiance. What? That's not his fiance. No, what? And so he's skeptical, and so he's kind of like the detective trying to figure out it sometimes to hilarious consequences, like the Joe Fusco Jr., your boyfriend. So he's suspicious of everything that is going on. And it's really charming, but all of this, of course, leads to Jack and Lucy falling in love, which adds more complication, because here's Lucy, who said that she is the fiance to this guy in a coma. But really she's starting to develop feelings for the brother. And then the ticking time bomb goes off. But instead of a explosion of this is all wrong, what does Peter do? Peter goes, yes, I think I am going to. That is my fiance. I am going to marry her, because he wants to turn over a new leaf. Because Jack Warden, who plays the Godfather, essentially says, you're a schmuck and you need to change your ways. I would marry Lucy if I were you. And Peter's like, yeah, you know what? I think this is the right move. I've had this life-altering experience. And so Lucy has to decide, am I going to go through with, do I go through with the marriage? Do I say how much I love and therein lies the complications of this romantic comedy. But at its, so it's a love story. Yes, it's a romantic comedy. It's very fun. But to me, the movie is about family and that connection to family that you've never had, the family that you choose, the family that you get put in. And when you don't have that, it's that part of your heart that is empty, and then to suddenly have it filled, and to be filled overflowingly like this, it's almost drug-like. And I think that's what the movie is saying, is that it's easy to get, and it goes against a lot of the movies, especially at the time that were coming out, about all, it's just so shitty when you have to be around your family at the holidays, and family, family get-togethers suck, and it just ends up fighting, which sadly is true for a lot of people. But here's a movie that says, you know what? If you don't have family, maybe the best thing at the holidays can be your family, and to suddenly get a family where you had none, maybe that is the gift that you got along the way.
There's also a lesson in it about the difference between imagining yourself in love, like the idea of it, and how seductive the idea of it is, and how complicated. Again, the film's a pretty superficial romantic comedy. It is, but nevertheless, it demonstrates what an actual relationship that has a shot in hell of working is, in contrast to this thing that you never know, but it's a fantasy, and it isn't there isn't anything to it, and I like that contrast a lot. Roger Ebert said when he was watching it that it was a really great, warm-hearted movie, and then his great line, which he always has these great lines, is, even as it was barreling towards its happy ending, I was shocked to find out how much I was still enjoying it, because of course he watched every one of these when they came out.
And I don't like romantic comedies. You guys,
yeah, I know. It's fun
that
we have you for this. So.
No, but I like this movie though, and I think the reason I don't like romantic comedies is because they're fake. Yeah. And I don't find it funny that much, often. And this one, I would say, is the least superficial romantic comedy that I can remember watching, because there is such a realness that it's all based on. And it's these themes of, okay, do you love somebody because he's good looking and he smiles at you and he wears a nice suit and all of this? Or is it, the other brother who is much more like you in every way? And I mean, it makes you look at what are you falling in love with, and family at Christmas time. This couldn't have happened on 4th of July. You know what I mean? It is about family, and that's what Christmas really shows, the getting together of family. I found myself liking, I had seen it when it first came out and I didn't really remember it, but I found myself really liking it this time, and like, and Sandra Bullock plays a great, just down to earth, for the most part, natural kind of woman. And I really enjoyed watching her. I really enjoyed watching Bill Pullman. I really enjoyed that Peter Gallagher was asleep for 3/4 of the movie, and you see him with his eyes closed the whole time, and all of a sudden he wakes up and it's all eyes and black caterpillar eyebrows, and it's like, wow, it's like, wow, he's awake.
Yeah, no, he fundamentally understands at that point in the story he is a total foil, and that contrast is a great actorly thing, because he's not that kind of actor. He's actually a pretty subtle actor in real life, and he just is so animated and having such a good time in this film, and it's infectious and fun for all of us to see him doing that. So I agree.
And go along with what you said, Shauna. I mean, that's the gift of Sandra Bullock, especially in this movie, is all of that is right there on her face. She knows she knows that she has to tell the truth at some point. She knows that if she doesn't, it's going to blow up and possibly hurt this family. She knows all of that, and yet she can't bring herself to tell the truth, because the warm feeling that she has that has been missing for so long is so strong, and also she just keeps getting interrupted. She just, the world is conspiring against her against her telling the truth, to where it gets, and and so it really, I mean, it's a lovely film. It is, this is not, I'm not gonna, this isn't high art. This is a romantic comedy, but it is, to me, it is a lovely holiday film.
It gets to the core of some human things that are really neat. It does it in a fun, farcical way, but and even in respect to the films around it, the other romantic comedies of the 90s, that was the you look back on them, that was the apex of that kind of filmmaking. We had an enormous amount of the very, very best ones all come around at that sort of time, which was neat. It was neat to be a young person and have date movies of that kind that you could go to pretty much repeatedly, and to have them be written by and directed by and worked on by people who really cared about really good storytelling, because it's very soon after, really by the late 90s, it didn't last very long. You were getting into, the formula was there, but the thing that Shauna said that she hates about them, this sort of emptiness. It's a game that's being played on you, and as long as we're all willing to play the game, okay, no harm done. But that idea of where's the human element? And all you need is a little bit. You don't need a lot. We know these are all fantasies, but where is it? It has to be there. And when it isn't, they're the worst movies in the world to sit through. Maybe really awful horror movies are worse, but
no, I'd rather watch awful horror movies.
yeah, I mean, they're the worst movies to sit through when they feel soulless. And this movie's all about soul. That's the part that it just sort of nails. And I don't, and it's easy for me to say, oh, just have a soul, in a movie. I'm sure people have tried to do that and just not made it, right? But this film has a lot of soul. Ebert's reaction to it was Shauna's is the same, and mine is the same. I was like, I haven't seen it since it was new either, except for these purposes. And Joel kind of brought it up, but then he wasn't sure if it fit. And I kept thinking, I don't know. We're all pretty nostalgic. At least our generation now are pretty nostalgic for whatever, Sleepless in Seattle, all those films that came out during that era. And so it fits in that way. And I think you're right. It is a holiday movie. Shauna's right. It couldn't be a Easter movie. Holiday, it had to be. It had to be Christmas time, where that togetherness is so meaningful and where the loneliness is so profound. Both
because
feel
Christmas
that in it.
Family, Thanksgiving.
It's close, kind of connected.
It seem that odd, but I mean, Christmas, you're not inviting people from outside of. It's not friends generally, unless they don't have family.
Right.
I mean, this is Christmas. It really boils down to Christmas in this one.
It's a good pick. I'm glad we stuck with it.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to our third and final movie club film.
Ho ho ho!
And that is the light and fluffy romp through New York and at Christmas time. The hilarious. No, it is the wonderfully dramatic Todd Haynes movie from 2015, Carol. Kate Blanchett, Rooney Mara, Sarah Paulson, Kyle Chandler. Ryan.
Let's get a couple things on the record before we launch into this. Who wrote the novel, The Price of Salt? Highsmith?
Patricia Highsmith. Yep, The Price of Salt. Something
to know about Carol before we talk about, obviously, is a film takes place in 1951. And the 1951 of the world, we're going to talk about the contrasts that are in it, because especially at the onset of the film, Christmas in Manhattan in 1951 is a magical, beautiful thing. The film really, really captures that in a glorious way. But Patricia Highsmith wrote this as a contemporary piece, and I think it's important to know that it came from an author who was writing this in the time that the film takes place, even though we're taking a film that looks back at that time, all these years later. Because this was a book that was so good that they tried to make it into a movie many, many times, but the politics of getting a movie like this made were tricky, and they were even tricky in 2015 when they were making it, but at least then you could do it. And Phyllis Nagy, who adapted the screenplay, and it's a tough one. It's a tough adaptation. She's a great screenwriter, but she's a filmmaker in her own right. And so that trilogy of people, Todd Haynes, Phyllis Nagy, and Patricia Highsmith, are really where the thing it comes into being. It's easy for me to sit here and say how awesome it is because it was the best reviewed movie of 2015. It wasn't nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, but it got a bunch of Oscar Love, score, cinematography, actress for Cate Blanchett. So it's a prestige film. It's we're talking about it now because I think it fits the theme, but also because I really regret that I didn't do it for last year's show. But look, everything has a reason. I didn't do it for last week. I didn't think of it last year, to my shame, and now we have it for this year, so it kind of worked out. Carol's a story of a pretty modern woman for 1951, a young woman who's educated and smart and wants to be a photographer and a photojournalist, I guess, even more significantly. And she's a great photographer, but she wants to be a photojournalist who is, to make ends meet in the big city, is working the counter at a department store, a fictional department store. I can't remember what it's called, but it's very much the Macy's of Christmas time in the 50s is what it evokes. And one day, a very classy woman comes in looking to buy a present for her daughter, and they have this really neat. She's walking through and looking at this incredible old 1951 display of toys and things and vintage stuff, and she's taken by the train set. And like a good salesperson, even if it is just your day job, Rooney Mara's character, notices that and convinces her there's no reason you can't get your daughter a cool train set if that's what you think is cool.
Really quick, Ryan, I think it's good to point out here too is that Rooney Mara's character said how much she loves train sets and had loved them, and so it's saying, as a young girl and as a young woman, I still love train sets.
Yeah, it's a film. This is a subtle way that the films and the book foreshadows that this is a movie about. There's a tremendous amount of roadblocks that come up in the face of this relationship, as you would expect. And this is a movie about bucking those conventions and overcoming that to the degree that you can. And what a truly difficult thing that is.
And if I may speak really quick.
Yeah, you bet.
Yes, it's a love story between two women.
Right.
And at that time, and this movie does a really good job of showing where women are in the society in general. They don't have a lot of power. Rooney Mara's character wants to become a photographer, but she's always kind of on the outskirts of what the men do. And so it shows not only, women in general didn't have a chance to live the lives that they wanted to or could have or anything, but then you throw in a lesbian relationship and that is complete taboo. It's an interesting.
Yeah. Cate Blanchett's character does her best. You can feel it in her life. She has a daughter. She's married to a man. She really is trying to take a less resistive path in her life because she's been convinced, or she has convinced herself that happiness and contentment lies in doing that. And yet her own nature kicks in. There's clearly, she's had an affair in the past that caused them all kinds of problems. She's in the middle of a divorce now that's kind of related to that. And it's a super inconvenient time for her to find love. And these two people are so different, their personalities and stuff. And yet, whatever that is, I try not to bring it up too much on the show because I don't think it's something you can plan, write, or give anybody credit for. So what's the point of discussing it? But the dare I say, the chemistry between the two of them is palpable in the film, and you believe in their relationship. Not just you believe it's real, but you want it to be. You feel that unstoppable force of them coming together, and you really root for that deep down. At least I did when I was watching it. It reminds me, and this is a little side anecdote before we kind of get into the little bits of plot here about Carol, but Carol, it is that. It's a deeply nostalgic movie. The cars, the music, the fashions, all that stuff is so richly realized. And yet Well, and that leads to what I was going to say, which is I was at Joel at their old house used to have these outdoor patio birthday parties for their kid, and I'm pretty sure this happened at one of those. You had other patio get-togethers, maybe it was one of those, but I think it was a birthday party, and it was your wife's parents that I was sitting with because I know them, and I and they're the only people I knew, so I gravitated toward them on the patio, so I didn't have to be around strangers because I'm scared of people. Yep. And they're talking. We were talking about TV because Jen's dad was watching everything. It was this was the Sopranos and whatever. This is the golden age of television, and he's watched every show, and he's just rattling them off. Have you seen this? Well, have you seen this? Ryan, you like TV shows. Have you seen that? Have you seen this? Have you seen this? And the show that came up was right as Jen's mom's coming to sit down next to us. The show that comes up is Mad Men. And she's, I hate Mad Men. And I was like, and he's kind of like, oh no, Mad Men's really good. And I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, yeah, how can you hate Mad Men? That's a really, really good show. And she's like, I hate that whole period and blah, blah, blah. They're all getting dressed up and having parties, and these stupid idiots have no idea what it was like back then. And she's just like, her vitriol at the place of women in society in the era that is absolutely, fully admit, romanticized in Mad Men. Even though Mad Men's a show with really strong female characters, they still, by its very what it is, to have to take a back seat in the story, and they do. But she had a really good point that I had not thought of, and that I always should keep in mind, that it is beautiful, and it is romanticized. So you do fantasize about a life in a time like that without considering what the racial politics or the sexual politics are.
Right.
Especially if you're a dumb white guy like me and Jen's dad are. We just were watching that show without even thinking about that. And the show even gives us an excuse not to. It has Elizabeth Moss's character is a very enlightened and, you know what I mean, very like high-minded character, very much like Rooney Mara's in Carol. But Carol brings it home because Carol is about women, as Shauna correctly points out, and just being a woman in 1951 is enough. And the movie is as much about that as it is about a forbidden lesbian relationship between the two of them. They go on a road trip together, just, that fantasy of escaping this. If we could just be alone, if we could just get away from our problems, then what we are could be our focus. And of course, for one glorious moment, it works, that idea, but it just, there's no place. You can't, if you're a lesbian woman, you can't escape 1951.
And even the way that they would go to hotels, and it was like, we'll have 2 standard rooms. Well, why don't we have the presidential suite if it's such a good deal?
Yeah.
They had to protect their identity as lesbians, not just from Carol's husband, but from
everybody
at large,
from every stranger. Why are these two ladies traveling together? It's not unprecedented, but it makes everybody, it makes all these weird people, especially out in the country, give them this sort of side eye and stuff.
And if you look at Carol's husband, the
Harge.
Yeah.
I love that name of all that. Like, I was like, Harge.
Played by Kyle Chandler, a really difficult role to play. And really, he absolutely gets to the heart of, because he's lashing out in really harsh ways and is very much of a villain in a dramatic sense. But it's all coming from the fact that he really does seem to be in love with her, and he is really desperately heartbroken and hurt and ashamed and lashing out at her for those types of reasons.
But it's not even lashing out at her. He's controlling her.
He's controlling her.
More than lashing out. This is not just, I'm mad at you. I'm mad at you. No, he's creating a
I
situation.
need to control the situation. It's
Right,
true.
he's
Yeah,
creating
it's
a
yeah. I mean, he's
situation.
trying to control it. He's not controlling it, but he
and
is doing
well,
everything he can
he
to. Yeah.
is.
He gets the upper hand on her in every way
Well,
that you
he
need to
absolutely
in
yes.
society at the time.
Yes,
And here's
that
the
yes.
thing, guys. Here's the thing: is that is a man controlling a woman, which is in that era, and it's not even that she's a lesbian. It's a man controlling a woman, and he can, and he knows it, and he uses everything,
Yep.
including taking his daughter away from her
Yeah.
Right.
as a man against a woman. And you know what? And it goes to, hold on, it goes to in society as it is. Even now, you look at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and how he held the kids over her head and everything. It is a man controlling a woman, and they may say they love this person so much.
Yeah.
So you're doing this out of love? No,
No,
you're doing
yep.
this out of control.
Control.
Yeah, that's
ego,
what I was going to
and-
say. Yeah.
And you know, but I do think he plays that the hurtfulness. His anger comes from a very real place, which I think is hard to pull off when
I agree.
when what you're doing is manipulating the system around you
Yep.
to
was
really
very-
damage somebody we care about.
His
Yeah,
acting
it's-
in this was great. He was very subtle in many ways, which made it even more.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
Believable.
great
Yeah.
job, great job. And
Yeah,
I
you can. Yeah,
seen him in this type of role. You know, usually he's like the football coach or
Right.
whatever. And
right. Yeah. That's
Yep.
where he makes his bones now.
He
Yeah,
plays
that's
a
what I
lot
was
of
gonna-
very charismatic and inspiring people, and so this is a
Mhm.
totally different journey
right,
for him.
good-hearted people versus a man that is trying to control a woman in the worst
Yeah.
way.
It's very much that. Well, I love you, or this is what I think love is. I love you, and if I can't have you, no one can, and I will destroy you. If I can't, if I can't love you the way I say I'm going to love you.
Yeah.
And so which is
What's more
It's
manly
interesting.
than that, unfortunately?
It's interesting.
And you know, and even more, to finish this line, she only, without spoiling the details, there's more to it than this. She opens up and is truthful with him, which breaks down at least a small barrier that needs to be for there to be any resolution between these two people. She's the brave person who does that, but she only gets any semblance of what she wants most of life by completely surrendering to him.
Yes, giving up her dot. Well, yeah. Sorry, did it?
By completely surrendering to him. No,
Yeah.
it's okay. I see.
Her daughter.
Yeah, like I'm not saying that, but yes, she it's in a way that you don't expect. I really think the surprising part of it, we're not spoiling, which is she does it in a way that you don't expect, and it does. You do feel like things are going to be, if they're not going to be great in that situation ever, they're going to be better than they have been because
Definitely, and I would say giving up almost everything except this one condition. And if you don't do this, it will get ugly.
Yeah.
She now has the upper hand on him. He can't do anything more to her.
Without this scandal being the whole thing. And
which will bring him down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He's
So
got the upper hand, which is interesting. And I was going to say,
but it's more than she just has better cards in that moment. It's that she goes out of her way to give him what he actually wants, which is, if not total control, some semblance of control. So some way to declare victory on his part. And because she opens up for the first time, she doesn't deny everything. She says how things are. She opens up. It's just a heartbreaking, amazing scene for that character.
Mhm.
but
Because
she
it's
opens
all
up
that stuff in one.
She opens up herself to the lawyers completely. To him, he already knew. He knew the whole time that she was a lesbian.
But you can tell he's moved by it to the
Oh,
point
yeah.
that he
Well,
sees
see,
the
the thing
wisdom
is-
in it.
But Ryan, the thing is that he doesn't win anything. She gives him almost everything. So it satisfies this. But he doesn't win because she's going to go forth and live her life as an authentic person, which is a lesbian, and he can no longer control her. He hasn't won anything. As a matter of fact, she holds the last card above his head. You try anything more, it will get ugly.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, it's interesting with this, women, not just lesbian women, but women, and looking at A Christmas Story, and it's the mother too. I was thinking this as I was watching this, and you watch the mother in that one where, she's quietly holding her feelings in when her husband goes down and beats up the furnace, and holds in her feelings when the fuse goes out and the tree can wobble, holding her feelings in when this leg lamp, which is like a direct competition with women, is being installed in her house. But then she breaks the lamp. And it's like, you look at women's place in society in these two movies, and it's very similar, but it's, and in a way, it is kind of what it's about, families and in A Christmas Story and women's place in society. While it's not directly about that, but it's part of that, the family.
It lives and breathes in that movie. Definitely, you're right about that.
Whereas Carol, that is what it's about.
Yeah.
And I would say, interestingly, sorry, you guys, I'm taking kind of
go.
But Carol is really hard for me to watch because I find it incredibly depressing.
Oh yeah.
And I was trying to think. I was like, okay, it's A Christmas Story. Well, it's Christmas in Manhattan in the beginning, and then you don't really see much about Christmas. But going back to then, while you were sleeping, and we, really pointing out Christmas being about family, and Sandra Bullock didn't have any family, and she became a part of this family, and that's really, the heart of that in Christmas. But Carol is too. It shows the loss of her family, the loss of her daughter, the loneliness. And it is Christmas in that way too, showing the very sad side that is Christmas for a lot of people. It really is a Christmas story. It was just interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and to extrapolate this out, she is going to be spending every Christmas now without her daughter. That's the choice that she's making. But
she doesn't give up her daughter completely. Her daughter is the thing that is the one weapon that her husband has to use against her finding happiness with another person. You, for a brief time, you believe in that happiness, even when it all falls apart. And even when they're separated, you sort of believe in their individual journeys. The film gives you plenty of reason to hope that they've come to a place where, in whatever compromised way that this society will allow, that they'll be able to find something, or at least try and find something together, which I think is, that's as hopeful a place as a story like this could possibly end, right?
Yeah.
But it's true. It's true. She's the holiday thing is really showing you this sort of, I don't want to call it idyllic because that's not right, but from an imagery standpoint, it really does. It's such an idyllic, it's utterly nostalgic and beautiful thing that she cherishes. Actually, you can tell by the decorations and stuff, but you can also just see Cate Blanchett obviously is, we talk about good performers on here, and we talked about a bunch in the show, but she's beyond, she's just a really, really amazing performer who brings so much to that part in this movie. But I love Carol. I admit I don't crack it out every Christmas to get the Christmas spirit going. But it was a little movie at the time that I expected I would admire and that hoped that I would like. But it was, and there were a lot of good movies that year. Spotlight came out that year, won the Oscar. Room came out that year. Room is one of my all-time favorite films. But Carol's right. It's every bit as good as those. It's right up there with them. I really, really think it's an amazing story. Very, very well told and sensitively told. That's about a lot of issues without ever becoming an issue movie. It's really a specific story about this specific experience between these actual people.
Yeah.
That's the magic of cinema to me, and it pulls it off just incredibly.
And I think it's such a good movie that it made me so sad, and it's hard for me to watch. It is an excellent movie for that reason. A movie doesn't have to make you happy to be good. I don't think it made me incredibly sad, and the performances were amazing. I thought that Rooney Mara gave a spectacular performance in this. I would argue that she was the base of this movie. I think
she's got the harder role, and she's bravely underdoes everything, you know. But as you said about Sandra Bullock, a totally different kind of piece with a totally different kind of tone. But on Rooney's face, there's always something happening. Sometimes she's not even letting us know what it is, but it's there. That inner light that burns in her is really, really powerful as a performer.
And it is
kind of her story. I agree with you.
It's very unaffected, her performance in this. And I would say with Cate Blanchett, it is a very affected performance because it does show so much of what is expected of women and how they move and how they present themselves, and that in society at her level, that's what it is. So in a way that is fake. And so she does nail that really well. But with Rooney Mara, I just felt like it was so natural and unaffected, and with her, like nothing that she did felt like it was thought about in acting.
She was their first choice, and she said no to it twice.
Wow.
Which is stunning to think. She had just finished Dragon Tattoo and was exhausted and read it and thought it was good, but just couldn't imagine doing it. And then because of some other delays having to do with some other things, they were starting later, and Haynes really wanted her and asked her again, wrote her a nice letter, and she said, yes, I want to do that. I should have said yes before. I just was in a totally different headspace.
Yeah.
So it's one of those times where it worked out, you know.
Right. When she was sitting, they show it's the same scene in the beginning and in the end of the movie, and she reminded me of Audrey Hepburn.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. I can see that.
It is there. It's remarkable at times. It was just really fascinating.
Yeah. It's a really, I mean, it's a sad but wonderful movie. It is not a light holiday romp, but it is absolutely a movie worth seeing. It's a tale worth telling, and it's really, really it's enjoyable in the sense that you ain't gonna be bored.
No, and it's involving. It brings out the emotions.
That's a better word. Thank you. That's the better word.
It's two things. It's really just an involving human story that is touching and moving tremendously, but it's also it's got a bit of that Sue storming in out on the patio telling you why Mad Men is bullshit, and it has true. That. It's that kind of slap in the face, especially to those of us who need it and reminded. But Shauna, not nearly as much as us, needs to be reminded of that. But we do, and I think it's good for cinema to do that, and it's extraordinary for it to do it with as much heart and as bravery and honesty as that.
Right. It's it's easy to tell us and to beat an audience over the head that this is how crappy it was.
For us, but it's easy for us to be liberated and to think the right things, but you should have to feel it a little bit. That is really how you change and how you grow, is you feel it.
You got to feel it.
How people learn. You know what I mean? You can't just say something to them, or like you said, Joel, beat them over the head with it. Sure, you'll know that, and kind of think, oh yeah, that's right. But you won't think it when you look at everything from that time. But experience it through Carol or something like this,
Right.
you really live it. Like, wow, okay, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
I bet you'll notice it more when you watch Mad Men. I think it's still there.
I
It's
certainly
not
will.
very subtle, but you'll notice it much more now.
All right. All right. How are we doing on time? Because with me screwing up, all my timers are all messed up.
No, we're fine. We're fine for the little, let's go out with a bang, I guess is what I'm saying.
All right, here we go. We're going to do a little holiday ho, ho, ho hot take.
Let's get some hot takes. Let's get some hot takes. Let's get some hot takes. Let's get some hot takes.
Ho, ho, ho.
There we go. All right, here we go. I'll throw out a hot take here, and then the two of you can give your thoughts on it. We have talked a little bit in the past and previous shows about toxic fandom and Star Wars fans who just want the story to be told their way, and Marvel Universe and DC Universe, of course, have their toxic fan bases. Jack Skellington from Nightmare Before Christmas is a perfect example of toxic fandom. Jack Skellington is a toxic fan as he makes Christmas his entire identity 5 minutes after discovering it and then ruins it for everyone else.
Does he, though? I would argue with the second part of that thesis. Does he ruin it for everybody else?
Well, he does, have these scary ass presents that he puts under the trees for kids, and
that's true, but
a wreath that will eat you.
That's true, but he's not punishing people because he's not getting his own way. Although I guess he just doesn't think he's punishing people. He's really like a cat who's leaving a mouse on your pillow. He means so well by it, and it's so obvious, the pride and you know what I mean, and that goes with the action that.
Yeah.
I love you.
Although I think this is a brilliant
I love you.
take.
I do love you. I love you so much. I will share this animal that I killed for you. That's a really good. I like that take good on this hot take.
Yeah.
Shauna, you have thoughts on Jack Skellington as toxic fandom?
I'm super embarrassed to admit this, but I'm not even really sure what you're talking about.
Okay,
it's a stop motion movie where Halloween icon is so lonely at Christmas that he sort of takes over. Oh. It's a Tim Burton animated movie. It's really pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. So who's the fan? The toxic fan?
They're just saying Jack Skellington is a perfect example, like the lead guy
of toxic fandom.
Of toxic fandom, in that he discovers Christmas and makes it his whole identity and then ruins it for everyone. Kind of like someone who decides that I am the definitive Star Wars voice, and I am going to tell everyone that this is how it should be. And if Star Wars is not going to be what I say it is, then it is crap. All right, next hot take. Here we go. I do like this one. Clarence from It's a Wonderful Life didn't deserve his wings. It's a Wonderful Life is a crock. Clarence can see everything from heaven, but doesn't see Mr. Potter swipe the $8,000. He could have outed that rat bastard and spared George the 90-minute mind bleep. No wonder it took that guy, I'm censoring now. No wonder it took that guy 200 years to get his wings.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that the only part of that I disagree with is that the journey of our hero isn't needed. It is needed. We just moments ago talked about it. And Carol, you need to take the journey sometime. That's what it's about. But is Clarence a pretty crappy guardian angel? Yeah, he is not the best, but I don't know. Lord works in mysterious ways, Joel. He was sort of the perfect man for this particular job as well. So I don't know.
John, thoughts on Clarence being a crappy angel?
You guys are never going to invite me back on the show.
Because you've never seen It's a Wonderful Life either?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, I thought I'm terribly sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh yeah, no. When I saw these, I'm like, oh, this is perfect because I know Shauna will have
seen it. We've all seen It's a Wonderful Life.
I've seen parts of it. I kind of.
Hey, I feel.
Is there a bell that rings or something?
Oh boy!
I feel the next year's holiday movie club coming on right now.
It's quickly shaping up. It's quickly shaping up.
I was thinking that too, but you guys, maybe a scary Christmas holiday club too.
It's called the Nightmare. Oh, you want to do a scary one? We could have used you this year. You bet. That's on the calendar right now.
I think we should do that next year, and I'll watch the It's a Wonderful Life, and we can talk about it afterwards next time.
Okay,
that works.
That'll be the bonus movie club. All right, next one. The Rankin and Bass. I mentioned Rankin and Bass earlier. We've been introducing
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Frosty the Snowman, and especially the stop motion things. That's Rankin and Bass.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen those. I want to be a dentist.
Yeah,
exactly. All right. Christmas hot take. Santa Claus in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is a huge jerk. He should be ashamed of himself. And I hope Donner has money set aside for poor Rudolph's future therapy because he was also a jerk and a terrible father. Side note, Yukon Cornelius and the Bumble are still the GOAT. That is the hot take here, is that Santa, the whole, well, Rudolph, you just need to, they're just better at this than you. And your nose makes you a freak.
Santa's a bit of a conformist, and Donner absolutely is, like some of the father figures we've seen in these movies that we talked about today, where he's an overbearing, absolute buying into the conventions of the day, and also shares with a couple of our characters and that he's frightened of something that's different, and he doesn't want to be viewed as different as a result. But that's a pretty common fear that we all have at different ages and different eras. I don't want to say he's a terrible father, but I mean, he brings a lot of that father stuff to the party that when you want to, and part of growing up is getting out of the shadow of that and doing your own thing, whether it's supported or not. That's what's brave about what Rudolph does. Santa, I don't know. He just doesn't have to deal with middle management a lot. He's got so many things in between him and what's really going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I really do think he's Santa, and he's just kind-hearted, and he lives up to the billing, but he doesn't. He hears the facts, but he doesn't get what it really is until he gets it, and that's human too. So I'm gonna just defend those guys, but that hot take's pretty down the line. I mean, it's making a good point.
Shauna,
I would say that when Rudolph's nose finally started to glow, I kind of wanted to flip Santa the bird.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You pick on this poor kid. Yeah.
See Santa? Yeah, but he didn't pick on him. He just sort of dismissed him politely.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey, Santa, maybe you're not a jerk for 5 minutes, and maybe you don't just side with your other reindeer homies.
Well, you don't want a reindeer strike right before Christmas either, Joe.
That's true. I guess it's a fine line that he has to walk.
I'm just saying he's got a big operation he's in charge of. I mean, I'm not making excuses. I'm trying to step into his shoes and see it from his point of view as
well. All right, here we go. Let's see if I can. Oh no, come on. Here's okay. The Santa Claus. Have we seen the Santa Claus? Okay, and then I'm going to skip this one.
No, do it. Let's see if we can have an opinion about something we haven't even seen.
All right.
What's more toxic fandom than that?
The Santa Claus is the most cold-hearted Christmas movie ever made, and the elves in it are savage. Let's see. We're talking about the Santa Claus, maybe the most horrific, the whole trilogy. I'm not talking about what happens to Scott Calvin and his transformation into Santa, or the fact that Santa Claus 2 brings to the Santa finds a wife subgenre, which is always creepy as hell. To recap, when Santa falls off his roof, Scott Calvin puts on his suit and instantly becomes the new Santa. It's all fun and frolics, and the elves explain that this is the Santa Claus. The creepiness begins early on because the roof Santa actually dies on screen quite slowly, and that's the only reason Scott can take on this role. None of the elves at the North Pole mourn the dead Santa. Bernard just refers to him as the other Santa and shrugs it off. They just cold-heartedly accept that roof Santa is gone, and now they work with Scott. And then somebody else chimes in. It's not just humans, though. Elves disappear after hundreds of years, and no one cares. And in Santa Claus 1, Judy says she spent the last 1,200 years perfecting her cocoa recipe, but she's nowhere to be seen in Santa Claus 2. She's just casually replaced with another cocoa maker and never mentioned again.
That's where it ends, with the cocoa?
Yeah, apparently. Well, that was just added.
That is an epic hot take of monumental proportions. But
Roof Santa dies slowly. And no one cares. It
is true. Those films are they're it's a clever idea, but they are cynical and awful, and they don't have. I mean, they have a festiveness to them, but they don't have a semblance of heart that really redeems any of the stuff in that rant. So I've only seen bits and pieces of them. I've never sat through a Santa Claus movie because tonally they do seem off to me. So I'm going to agree with that one. Sean, have you seen any of those, the Tim Allen Santa Claus movies? You haven't?
I have not.
But it doesn't sound great, does it?
Santa dies? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the whole bit.
That's the whole bit, and the regular schlub and schmo is contractually obligated to become the next Santa. That's the play on words. It's the Santa Claus in the contract.
Mm-hmm. Weirdly, after hundreds of years or thousands of years of delivering, Santa slips on ice in a suburban home, and then we get Tim Allen is Santa Claus. You were going to say something, Ryan?
I'm going to let that hot take stand on its own. I wish had been a little shorter, but it's pretty much spot on with some of the just examples of things where we've said it on the show when we do our deep dives. It's like, let's just say what this thing is. And we do this a little bit in Movie Club. And by saying what it is, you reveal what it is in a way that when you're watching it, the magic of Hollywood can sometimes hoodwink you. It's really true. And of course, ideally, you get both. You get something that when you say what it is substantive, and you get delightfully manipulated and taken on a journey that is worthwhile. But sometimes you get really good at the craft of the thing. And when you really think about what it is, it's kind of horrible. And I think the Santa Claus movies actually they fit that ladder.
Is it for kids? Tim Allen's in it?
It's family movies, yep, you bet.
Family movies. They made 3 of them. And actually,
they're making a 4th.
And they just debuted. It's actually a series. The Santa Clauses is I believe just premiered on Disney Plus. All right, final hot take.
Ho, ho, ho.
We may have covered this before, but it's here's a go. Charlie Brown Christmas takes the tried and true formula that every child just loves: melancholy and experimental jazz.
I've said this before, and I'm going to use this as an example to quick say it again. And I hate to do it as a final Christmas message, but I hate how the internet has taken the icons of the Peanuts gang and turned them into feel-good memes. It's always Charlie Brown and Snoopy watching the sunset, and Snoopy saying some wise sage thing or being super supportive. You know, Snoopy was not supportive. Snoopy was a dog that had his own agenda. And when Charlie Brown most needed comfort, time and time and time again, Snoopy failed in bringing it to him. And yet, because Snoopy's a dog, the comfort is sort of built in and it exists there anyway in a sort of magical person dog type relationship. But it's not because he wrapped his arm around him in the hard times and said something nice in his ear about him. The Peanuts stories are about the trauma of childhood that comes from rejection, that comes from falling short, that comes from utter colossal disappointment. And that is a huge part of what growing up is. And we love the Peanuts Christmas special. I mean, love it, because it starts from that place of sadness and frustration. And I mean, there's nothing sadder in the world of any animation when he even decides what the right thing is to do and goes to hang that ornament on that pathetic tree and it makes the tree tip over or whatever. It's
Yep.
We've all felt that, and Charles Schultz knows that, and his heart and all of his best work is about that. And I'm super annoyed that we've changed the lens that we look back on that stuff with, just completely transformed it into something that it totally isn't, and it is the opposite of what it was.
Right.
It pisses me off because
it's not Winnie the Pooh and Piglet, you know?
Right.
That's what that was. It was based on that. But this is, there was, speaking about this, there was a love between Charlie Brown and Snoopy.
No doubt.
But Snoopy was constantly undermining him and like mischievous and all of that. And in a way, it's kind of joyous because if you compare Snoopy and Charlie Brown to Lucy and Charlie Brown, I mean, Lucy was just mean to him. Snoopy, was mischievous but loved him. So I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I really quick, my great aunt was friends with Charles Schultz.
Ah, neat.
Isn't that cool? I have
very cool.
I have like 4 the little books that they used to have that were like this big.
Yeah.
He signed them to my aunt and drew the figures of Snoopy and Lucy and
wow.
It's really cool.
Oh my God.
Well, that's I would say, since we don't have a show now until well into the new year, the New Year's resolution, you guys, if you really into Peanuts, try and get back into touch with its creator and what he was really trying to say, because he absolutely had a point of view that is timeless and is wonderful, that we can all learn from, and try and put the greeting card version of it behind you if you can.
Right.
And
right.
Remember, I can't remember the name, the African American, the black
Franklin.
Yeah.
At the time when those were running, the comic strips were running, the newspapers were like, we don't want him in this news strip. And Charles Schultz said, fine, I won't provide any more material.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty remarkable.
You picked the right hill to die on if that was going to be the case. And of course he knew he had all the cards in that situation too. But
the United States loved Peanuts. You're gonna pull my thing and go ahead, I'll blow it up.
Yep.
See what happens.
All right, folks.
And if you like really drunk old wife beaters from the 50s, he always got the Andy Cap strip. Just a few.
There you go.
Down.
If you need that. Yep. All right, folks.
Note,
all right. Dear listeners, dear viewers, thank you all so much for another season. This is the 40th episode of the Movie Show with Joel and Ryan of 2022. And it is we love that you continue to listen. We hope that you will continue to listen as we get into season 6 of this thing. And we hope you all have a happy and safe holiday season. Shauna, thank you so much for joining us once again.
We're so grateful for you and your perspective. So grateful for it.
I'm grateful to be on here and to think about this stuff. Thank you.
Absolutely. We love having you here for Movie Club. We love Movie Club. We love that this is a little fun thing that the three of us get to do together. I'm gonna give the last word over to Ryan. Ryan, reflections on season 5.
I don't have any reflections. All I can think to say is God bless us all, everyone.
I think that says it all right there. That's going to do it for us. You can reach
And
out to us
also,
at all of our
what
social
you
medias.
talking about, everyone?
There you go. Take care. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you for listening to The Movie Show with Joel and Ryan. Remember, all views and opinions represented in this podcast are personal and belong solely to the speaker and do not represent those people, institutions, or organizations that the speaker may or may not be associated with, unless explicitly stated. None of these views and opinions were intended to malign or deceive. And now, here's the producers, circa 1982, to play us out.
Ho, ho, ho! Ho, ho, ho!